Hey guys, NinjaGuyVR here, and today we're doing a review of Connor, which is kind of like a love letter to John Wick. So if you've been seeing some glimpse of the game in trailers and things like that, and you're wondering if it's a game for you, well, I'm here to tell you all about it, so let's go! So Connor was released on March 4th, 2024 on Steam, and it recently got a release on App Lab on April 10th on MetaQuest 2, Pro, and 3. And the developer was super happy when they learned that they were being accepted in App Lab. So the developer is Moonshine Games, and they release games such as Jake and the Giant, Buggy Bump, and The Cove. It's not games that I'm familiar with, but I believe that there are more little projects that were created before jumping into a bigger project like Connor. Alright, so let's get into the game now. So you know, of course, the game starts you in a tutorial where you're learning the mechanics of the game and how to play. And it's pretty simple. You get access to a gun that has infinite amount of bullet, right? So you never need to reload it, you just need to shoot. But the interesting mechanic is that every time you shoot someone, time slows down for a little bit of time, and then, you know, after that time it goes back to regular time, and then until you hit someone else, and then it goes back to slow down time. You know, it's kind of a cool mechanic. It reminds me of like Super Hot and that new demo of a game called Cold VR that came out recently, and I kind of like it. But even though I like this mechanic, I kind of find it a little bit tedious from time to time. Sometimes I just love to go in you know, full motion without the need of the slow motion, right? Because my speedrun blood is kind of like flowing, and would like to try to make some of these levels a little bit faster. But other than that, you know, it's still a nice mechanic. So the goal of the game is that you have to kill kind of like everybody, and when you do that, you'll be able to access the exit of the level. And the level is pretty cool. You know, you have to go through different type of levels, and you can choose them from a hub every time that you finish one of the levels. So it's kind of a game where you have to, or you can play like from time to time in short periods of time, you know, when you just want to pick it up and do a mission or two. It's that kind of game. So yeah, like I mentioned, every time you finish a level, you go in this hub, and it's kind of a cool little addition, you know, like I'm showing you there. I'm gonna grab a gun and I can just practice my shooting, and you get access to a small extra feature in there, which I'm gonna talk about later on. But, you know, I just find it a cool addition that you get there, and, you know, it's a very nice setup. So, you know, if the stages would repeat where you have to kill people and go at the end every time, it would be kind of boring. But the developer actually implemented different type of stages, like this one, as you can see, with the machine gun. So it keeps the game fresh. There's also like car chases and kind of like cinematic experience. There's this one time where you have to jump down a parachute and land on a train, and it's very, very cinematic, you know, like you jump off of a plane that's crashing, so you see like the plane crashing. So yeah, some very nice features like that. And just to show more variety, there's also this parkour level where, you know, you have to go to the end of the stage in a certain amount of time. So, you know, you have to make sure you walk properly throughout these planks. You got like some places to climb, so kind of like a speed run, right? Like you just have to rush through the end. So again, more variety, which keeps the game super fresh. So just to let you guys know, the game is not too long. It took me about 2.5 hours to finish, but you know, like I said, you never get bored. And, you know, consider the price. The game is only around $16 Canadian on App Lab, and right now it's actually 20% off on Steam, and it's around like $20 Canadian. So that's also something to consider, but I feel like, you know, it's still worth the price. So yeah, I just want to talk again about the variety. There's just a lot of like types of levels that you can play in to keep it fresh, you know, like you can see here, you're in a storage section, but there's also like a lobby that you can go in, some kind of place in like the Middle East. So as you can see, it's always fresh. And speaking of also good variety is the music. So, you know, there's some music with vocals, there's some synthwave music there. So yeah, let me just show you a few songs in there, which is very good. So guys, I just want to mention that there are issues with the games, and I'd like to go with them one by one with you. You know, I did enjoy the game though, just so you know, but it could have been better without these issues. So let's go ahead and go through them. So the first thing is that your difficulty selection doesn't get saved. You know, I like my games hard, so I like the hard difficulty. But every single stage, I had to select that difficulty every time. I think that the only thing that it does is that you get just one handgun instead of two. But still, I like that feature save, you know. The other thing is that there's no pause button, or maybe you have to press the home button to pause. But the thing is that I'm using virtual desktop, so I can't use these home button to pause, so I can't use any button. And this caused issue because sometimes I had a bug and I just couldn't restart, so I had to close the game down and then start it back up, you know, which was an issue. So, you know, during my first tower, I didn't have a lot of issues. The issues started more later in the game, so maybe the developer didn't have as much time to polish the later level. But there was this one level where a car could flip upside down, and I couldn't put it back up or, you know, reset my position or anything. So I had to redo this level a few times when I was flipping the car, you know, and I needed to be more careful. And there was a part where I was stuck on the pilot seat on an airplane, and this was totally not where I needed to go. But, you know, I just couldn't get out of there. So for a while I thought that I needed to be there, but I guess I didn't. And the train part was kind of buggy because, you know, I was killing enemies, and when I was going on top of them, it was teleporting me on top of the train, and even this one time, it teleported me and came back, and I just didn't have my gun anymore, so I couldn't do much about it. And I just want to mention that the part where you had to sneak through dogs was kind of boring because you could actually run and outrun these dogs, so there was kind of like no point to like sneaking behind them or anything like that. So I just, you know, rushed to the end, and that was it. So I wish there was more immersion to that level. So the story is pretty simple. What they do is they kidnap your wife because she's crucial to some kind of plan. I'm not too sure why, but yeah, the intro is kind of like explaining it very fast, and I had a hard time understanding it. It might be because, you know, it must be for fans of John Wick. Maybe it's easier to understand. But then there's this intro, which is, you know, very like quick, like weirdly made, I find. So it didn't really grip me. I really liked the rest of the cutscene of the game, like the phone interaction and, you know, the cutscene at the end and all of that. But the introduction cutscenes, I don't know, it didn't really fit with me. But guys, the last thing I want to mention about is the side content that they've added called Master Blaster. And, you know, after finishing the game, if you feel like playing some more, well, there's this side game where you can do like a high score, just defeat all these enemies. It's pretty fun, you know, it's pretty challenging. Every time, you know, the level change color, and I think it gets more difficult, but I'm not too sure. But anyway, you know, there's this scoring system, and it's quite fun, you know, it's a good time waster. But guys, thank you so much for watching my review today. Hopefully that gives you a good understanding if this is a game for you or not. And yeah, don't forget to subscribe, give me a comment if you have any questions or, you know, any comments on the game. And don't forget to hit that like button. Thank you very much, everyone, and have yourself a wonderful rest of the day. Bye!